Hello, guys. How are you? This is Dr. Leslie Rogers with Mental Health Talk. How are you? The goal of Mental Health Talk is to elicit ongoing dialogue around mental health and well-being. And today's guest is Kyle Quilausing. How are you, Kyle?
Doctor, thank you for having me. Good.
Thank you for being here. Oh my gosh. So let me tell you, you went from golfing sensation, and I'm not going to say former golfing sensation because once you're a sensation, you're always a sensation. You had a bump in a road and then you bounce back. So we are talking to golfing sensation, I'm going to say, Kyle Quilausing, right? Played alongside Tiger Woods, and I'm going to tell you all a little bit about him, and then we're going to get into the discussion. Yeah. So I'm going to read an excerpt that I got from Odyssey magazine, okay? It said, from promising beginnings as an inspiring young golfer to the grips of crystal meth addiction, a lofty prison escape, and 3 years in solitary confinement. That's a long time in solitary confinement. Walking in the road from Hawaii's most wanted to becoming a role model for thousands of youth, Hawaii's Kyle Quilausing discusses the power a pair of handcuffs can have and why he chooses to stay humble and focus on planting seeds of hope. And that was by Odyssey magazine in 2020. Yes. And I thought, this is such a powerful story because you were able to, you've been through so much. And how old are you?
I'm just turned 47.
47. You've been through so much, after your golf term to everything that you've gone through. And I'm going to allow you to tell your story. So Kyle was born in Hilo, Hawaii, right? Hilo, Hawaii.
Correct.
Yep. Describes being brought up by your grandfather who actually introduced you to golf. Right.
Correct.
Then there were some hiccups after golf, and then you were able to bounce up. So what happened? How do you go from golfing sensation to a felon?
Okay, let me start off first. My grandfather's name was George Martin. He was also the chief of police, and he raised me as a child. And just so happens that his house is right on the golf course. What separates his and the golf course is a stone wall. And at the age of 3, I picked up my first club. And he took me golfing and just fell in love with golf. But and I already won my first state, which I qualified for a tournament called Junior World in the mainland, where I first met addict Tiger Woods. And in that very first tournament, he came first and I came fourth. So at 10 years old, I ranked 4th in the world, and I had a bright and promising future. And I won 6 state titles. And fast forward the tape to high school. In my senior year of high school, one of the biggest schools came. They flew on a plane and they came to my school, and they asked me to come to the school with a full ride scholarship. And I worked hard for that, and I knew that day was coming. And when that day finally came, and I shook the man's hand and I had a verbal commitment, my head got so big, filled with pride, and got filled with ego. And in school, I was an honor roll student, 3.3, 3.5, 3.4. I don't smoke cigarette, I don't drink beer, I don't smoke weed, nothing. I was strong and I was smart, because in order to achieve my goal, which is to be a professional golfer, I needed to be that. So when I shook the man's hand and my pride got the best of me, I was walking around campus like I was a different person, like I was untouchable and nobody can tell me anything. And the teachers used to tell me, Kyle, you better stay humble. You never graduate yet, but you better get that mentality and check yourself. And my attitude was, please do not tell me what to do. You just want school teach to be one pro. I'm going to be a millionaire. And that attitude got the best of me. And 6 months to graduation, I got expelled because I did something really bad to a teacher. And I got expelled my senior year, 6 months to graduation.
Now, how was that first experience? And before we go on, let me ask you something. I got to ask you this. I have this picture.
Oh,
can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So which one is you and which one is Tiger Woods?
Woods is with the light blue shirt holding the big trophy.
Oh, look at that right here.
Yeah, he's first. The guy next to him is third, and there's me, the short one.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, so that's
the
that's the very first time I competed against Tiger. I'm 1 year older than him.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I found this picture and I had to show it, so I couldn't
Yeah.
let you know without
So
sneaking it in.
I competed against Tiger till I was 16 years old, and he knows me quite well. He gave me the nickname Pineapple just because I'm from Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
And
Awesome.
yeah.
So, Cal, how was that experience for you when you got expelled from? Do you think that was your first experience getting in trouble?
I didn't get in trouble yet, but I was devastated because all I know is golf. I put everything into golf. I would golf before school. I would study hard in school. I would golf after school. And at 10 years old, and my first goal was to beat everybody in junior golf, go to college, graduate college, turn pro. So that was my only goal, and I put everything into it. And when I got expelled, my whole life shattered on me, and I didn't know what to do. I was lost. And here in Hawaii,
so when you became expelled, were you expelled from the soccer team as well?
Soccer?
Soccer. I'm sorry. Were you let go from the golf team as well?
I got let go of everything. I'm done.
Oh,
You gone.
Yeah.
And before that time came, I was gonna put Hawaii on the map, and everybody here in Hawaii knew that I had a bright and promising future. So once I got expelled, the word got out fast here in Hawaii, and wherever I went, people was telling me, "Oh, I heard what happened to you. I heard you. Oh, you missed your ride. Oh, I heard what happened to you. You dumb, yeah. Oh, I heard what happened to you. You stupid." And wherever I went, I got that responses from people. And at 18 years old, it was too overwhelming for me. So I jumped on an airplane and I left to Alaska. And not knowing anyone, I left. I packed 2 bags and I left because I couldn't deal with people telling me that I'm dumb anymore. So I left. I left to Alaska.
Mm-hmm. So you started to believe that. Did you start to believe that? What they were saying?
Yep. And I left. And I was in Alaska for 5 years. Just in Alaska, escape.
Yeah.
And one day I woke up and I packed my bags and I came back home right into the crystal meth epidemic. And when I came home from Alaska, wherever I went, I saw all my old friends and my old buddies, and everybody was high on crystal meth.
So how were you introduced to that? You said you went to Alaska. You left Hawaii.
Yep.
Were you introduced in Alaska?
No, Alaska, I was still good. No drink, no smoke, no, just living. And then one day I woke up and I came home. Home.
So you said you woke up and came home. When were you introduced to drugs?
Crystal meth was flooded. The island where I live was flooded with crystal meth. And wherever I went, all my friends was high on crystal meth. And it was just a matter of time before the crystal meth pipe found me.
Yeah. Was there any other drugs or just crystal meth?
Just crystal meth. Just crystal meth.
So you went straight to that.
Yeah. And I said no many times. No, because that's not how I was raised.
Yeah.
But like I tell the schools today, the kids, they only can say no so much. And once the crystal meth pipe came to my hand and I did them, and when I blew out the crystal meth smoke, I blew out everything that was instilled in me as a child. All my respect, all my love, all my morals, all my etiquette was gone. Yeah. And I instantly became an addict, and I terrorized my community just to fuel my addiction.
Yeah. Why do you think that you became an addict? It sounds like your self-esteem after being expelled and not being able to golf anymore. It sounds like your self-esteem just plummeted.
Yeah, it did. But the crystal meth it just grabbed me. Once I blew it out, I wanted more. I wanted more, and I wanted more, and I did what was necessary to fuel my addiction, which was crime.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about that a little bit. So, so you came back. You became addicted to crystal meth, right? So where does a prison come in?
Okay, so 4 years I was high on crystal meth and I terrorized my home. And I've been labeled many things here in the 4 years of my addiction. I've been labeled Hawaii's most wanted. I've been labeled a one-man crime wave. And I terrorized my home. And we live on an island here in Hawaii. And it's just a matter of time before the police catch me, because where I'm going to run? I'm going to run in circles. So they finally caught me. And the day they caught me, I was 29 years old, 98 pounds, full-blown crystal meth addict, Hawaii's most wanted. That's my mugshot. If you Google my name, which is Kyle Quilausing, this picture is gonna come up.
Yeah. And I sent the video out on social media so people could read up about you prior to you being on the show. So, yeah. So you said Hawaii's most wanted. What gave you that name? Did you try to escape or what happened?
No, they had a hard time catching me. Like I had many high-speed chases and
Oh, I see.
I was very elusive. So they put me on the news, and this time they put me not for golf, but they put me, if you see Kyle Quilausing, please don't try to apprehend suspect, call 911. And so they plastered me all over the news, and they labeled me Hawaii's most wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
Was there any gang affiliation?
No gang affiliation, just straight drug addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So remember I told you that day they caught me?
Mm-hmm. Tell me again.
They caught me after 4 high-speed chases. They finally caught me. And when they caught me, they put me back on the news, and they let the community know that Kyle Quilausing is in custody. And they put the big catch captured. And the police department in Hawaii had a party because now I was captured.
Wow.
And the community had a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
But that relief and comfort didn't last too long, because 3 months later, I planned one of the biggest escapes, and I escaped.
So before we go to the escape. So, oh my gosh, this is a lot. How do you process that at that time? Can you remember?
When they caught me the first 2 months, all I did was eat and sleep, because that's the 2 things that I didn't do while when I was high on crystal meth. So when I ate,
but were you able to process at that time the intensity of what you had done?
No, it didn't hit me yet. All I wanted to do was smoke more crystal meth.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, because I'm an addict.
Mm-hmm.
So I planned an escape, and I pulled it off, and I jumped off the roof and broke the window, and it's kind of heavy.
Yeah, I know you were telling me about that. Your escape was successful, right?
Yep.
Was it successful?
Yes, it was. And
so how were you recaptured?
Like I said, we live on an island, and for 12 days. They called the FBI this time, and because I want to escape fugitive now, and it's a different ball game. And so 12 days later, chases later, they finally caught me.
Yeah.
They took me back to the jail that I escaped from, and they had plans for me, and yeah, it wasn't good.
That's when they put you in solitary confinement. Is that when
you
recaptured?
Correct.
Oh my gosh, for 3 years, Cal.
Yeah. Right? So when they caught me here in Hilo, they shackled me up. They barely chained me, and they put me in chains like that. Well. And they called a prison. This prison is called Halava Correctional Facility. And they flew me the very next day to Halava Correctional Facility, where they placed me in an isolation cell, 7x7, windowless cell for 3 years. And for 3 years, I ate in my cell. I took a bath in my cell. I paced in my cell. And I don't care who you are, Dr. Rogers, you spend that much time in isolation, things are taking a toll on your mind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How was detox? How did they put you?
No detox. No detox. Oh, of crystal meth. 2 weeks later, I was good already, healthy, and I was strong. I just wanted to smoke. But yeah.
Yeah. I can imagine 3 years in confinement. So what was that like for you? We talked earlier, and you talked about what went through your mind during that time, because ultimately it led to a change, right? A change in the state, a change in your thinking, a change in, the thoughts about being released and how you were going to clean up your life. So tell me about when you were in confinement. What was that like for you? Like the
Confinement was a turning point in my life, because like I said earlier, I don't care who you are, you spend that much time in isolation, your brain gonna start doing things to you. And They denied me of reading material. They denied me of writing material. I had nothing to read, nothing to write, not even a razor due to suicide. So I could see my beard growing on my face, and the color of my skin was losing its pigmentation because I lack of the sun. I didn't go outside for 3 years, and it was rough eating in my cell on my toilet and taking a bath in my sink, and it was not good. And one day I woke up, and the voices in my head was so loud and was so clear. And this special morning I woke up, the voices in my head was telling me, Kyle, you was a 6-time state champ. You was ranked 4th in the world. Look where you stay now, in a 7x7 windowless cell. Ram your head in the wall, Kyle. Ram your head in the wall. And at that time in my life, it sounded like a good idea. So I walked back as far as I could in my cell, and I was ready to lunge forward, and it smashed my head into the wall. But something was holding me back against my wall, and I couldn't move. And one thing that wasn't instilled in me as a child was God. For some apparent reason, God wasn't instilled in me as a child. But I remember as a child watching a TV show of a man. This man needed help. He was on his knees asking this guy named God for help. So those images started flashing through my head as I stayed pinned against my wall. So all I did was copy what I saw in my mind, and I went down on my knees in my 7x7 windowless cell, and I said, God, if you out there, my name is Kyle Quilausing, I need help. I'm sorry for everything I did. I'm sorry, help me, help me. And I instantly felt one warmth just rush through my entire body. And that's the day I surrendered, and that's the day I got saved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, oh my gosh. So it sounds like while you were in confinement, that shame and guilt started to sink in.
Everything was spiraling. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah.
And I look back. I look back at that time in my life, and God is good. God is good, because if I never escaped, I wouldn't have went to isolation where I could be alone with just me and him. And after I knew he was waiting for me, because once I surrendered to him, instantly I felt him.
Was there any suicide attempt or thoughts of suicide during that time, or even after?
No, only that one time, and that's when I was at the bottom and rock bottom, and that's when I was completely broken.
Yeah. What were support systems like for you with your family and friends during that time?
I had no contact with any of them, nobody, anyone, just by myself. And after I surrendered and I felt that warmth, I prayed every day after that, and I asked God that, please help me through this time in my life, and when I'm free, please use me in any way that you need me. And I dedicated myself in that 7x7 cell. When I get free, I'm gonna help as many people as I can, especially the kids.
Yeah, and that's what you've been doing. So let's fast forward and talk about being released. Oh my gosh, I can imagine that was a bit challenging, being released back into society. How was that challenging for you?
Okay, but first, before we get released into society, when I did my 3 years in isolation, they released me, and I did my 7 years in high custody. You know, when people kill people, murderers, they're considered a high-risk inmate because they're never going to see the light of day again. People that have a lot of influence, like gang leaders, they're high-risk inmates because if they say something, they're going to do them. And they put me
treated just like a high-risk
inmate because I escaped because I wanted to smoke crystal meth.
Right.
So now my 7 years of prison is in high risk.
And so what was that like? What's the difference of, what's that like?
Okay, so this is my first time in actually prison with inmates now. So when I got released from the hole, I went to high risk inmate, and I had a wagon, and in my wagon was a soap, a toilet paper, and a towel. That's all. So when I went to the high custody place, they pushed me into this glass building, and they told me my cell was cell 9. So I was pushing my wagon looking for cell 9. Soon as I find cell 9, I walk in my cell. Not even 1 minute later, three men run into my cell, close the door, and beat the living crap out of me. And you see my teeth, they knock out all my teeth. This is all fake. And they left me there unconscious on the ground, my 2 eyes swollen. And they took my soap, they took my towel, and they took my whatever they could, toilet paper. But the most important thing that they wanted to find out if I was on prey or if I was on predator. And you know what they found out, Dr. Rogers? You know what they found out real quick?
What's that?
That I was on prey because I never fight back. All I did was lay on and curl up. So every day they came. Every day they came. And they took my rice, they took my bread, they took whatever they could from me because I want prey. I'm not gonna fight back.
Right.
And my buddy at the time, his name is Big Bill, and I love him to death. He was on quadruple lifer. He would be in prison 4 times in his life. And we got close and we talked. And he know that I was on good guy. I just made a bad choice. Yeah. And one day he called me to my cell. He sit me down on the bed. He closed the door, and he slapped me as hard as he could. Right across my face. And I got shocked because I thought that was my friend. And he told me straight to my face. He said, "Kyle, I cannot see these people doing this to you, bro. Yeah, you gotta fight back. You gotta do something, bro. How much more time you get left?" I said, "I get 7 years left." He said, "You gotta fight, but you cannot live 7 years like this, bro." Yeah. And told him straight to his face. I said, "Bro, I never get into a fight in my life." And he said, "What? And you here with us?" I said, "Yep." He said, "Bro, you gotta fight, Kyle. You understand?" Then he slapped me one more time. And he said, "Kyle, look at me." I look at him, and he said, "Remember where you stay."
Why weren't you fighting back?
Because I scared. I never get into a fight in my life. That's not how I was raised.
Okay.
I golfed with Tiger Woods my whole life. I don't know nothing about violence. I don't know nothing about fighting. I don't know nothing about nothing.
Oh my gosh, this sounds like a traumatic experience for you.
Yeah. And then he slapped me for the last time, and he said, "Remember where you stay, bro. You're in prison. Okay, you're not at the golf course, bro. You gotta fight." And after that talk we had, I got into my first physical altercation, and it wasn't my last. And you see my shirt, Dr. Rogers?
I do. Stay humble and pray.
It says, "Stay humble, pray." And this is my mantra that I used in prison. Yeah. So we're playing cards. 6 guys raping one guy. This guy is screaming for help. But in prison, you do not help anybody. You do your own thing. Maybe that guy did something bad to somebody. He's paying his price now. So as we playing cards and this guy is yelling for help, I look around the prison. Nobody even acknowledging what's going on. I cannot just sit there. So I leave. I tell you, I come back. I go to my cell. I walk to my cell. I close my door. I take on one big breath. And I tell myself, "Stay humble, Kyle. You get 7 years left. This is temporary. This is not your home. Remember that." I drop to my knees and I pray, "Father God, thank you for the breath of life. Thank you for everything that you do. Watch over me and protect me. Stay humble, pray." That's the first time I ever did stay humble, pray, and wasn't my last. Yeah. So now I in prison with everybody else. Guys get stabbed in the neck and they die. Everybody walking around the guy as he's choking on his blood. I cannot just walk around. I walk to my cell. I close my door. "Stay humble, Kyle. You get 5 years left. This is temporary. This is not your home. Remember that. Father God, thank you for the breath of life. Thank you for everything that you do. Amen. Stay humble, pray. Stay humble, pray." Again. So this is how I survived the whole time in prison. Stay humble, pray. Stay humble, pray. That's my mantra. So now we're getting released.
So the emotions that you felt when you received those release papers, how was that? What were they like?
It was the best feeling of my life. And 10 years in prison, they flew me. I was in Arizona. They flew me to Arizona. Now they're flying me back home. And the day came, well, I'm back at Hilo jail, and I'm waiting for my mom to pick me up. I can see outside in the parking lot. I just did 10 years. I don't want my front teeth covered with tattoos from head to toe. And I'm standing outside. I'm inside on room, looking outside, waiting for my mom. I see my mom's Odyssey van pull up to the jail. I look back at the guard and I tell him, bro, open the door. My mom is outside. He said, Kyle, you got to wait till 2 o'clock, bro. You got to wait 2 more minutes, bro. I said, bro, open the door. He said, Kyle, if you can wait 10 years in prison, you can wait 120 seconds, bro.
Yeah.
I said, you're right. Tell me when I can go. He said, okay, you ready? You ready? Go. The door went open, and I run to jail for the first time. I free. I run up to my mom and look at me. She stopped. She looked at me. The first thing she told me, what happened to your teeth? She's looking at my tattoos, and she started rubbing my tattoos like the things don't come off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she hugged me. I hugged her, and I said, Ma, you know what? Let's get out of here, bro. Let's go home. Let's go home. And we left the jail.
Wow. I mean, that story is like, whew, powerful. I think I have chills listening to it. The trauma from it, the lasting trauma, from it. So I do want to ask you about, because you and I talked about this, you said that there were struggles, even though you were happy that you were released, there were some struggles to being released back into society, right? And and like you've been in prison for 10 years, and then you're released back into the community. So what were those struggles like?
Okay, so when I was in prison, had a process that happened to me. I went through the darkest time in my life. I hit rock bottom. There's a time that I surrendered to God and I gave my life to Him. And the community that I left on bad taste in everyone's mouth. I was hated. The day I left to prison, everybody hated me. My whole island hated me for what I did. So now I came back 10 years later. That mentality, the perceptions and the opinions about me was still the same. And they still hated me. But they didn't see the process, though, what I went through, the change that I went through. They didn't see that part, like how I changed. Yeah. Yeah. And when I was in prison, I dedicated myself to help people when I get out. When I get out of prison, I'm going to help people. But people's opinions and perceptions about me wasn't good. And I didn't let someone's negative thoughts about me derail my mission, bro, to give back. And it was difficult. It was difficult, but I pushed through, and I kept my eyes on a prize, and my God is my foundation, and I leaned on Him more than I leaned on Him in prison. And I stay humble prayer.
When you were released, and you talked to me about challenges about being judged, ostracized, by the communities. What about your family? Were you accepted by your family?
My family, open arms, open arms, and the first week out of prison, I'm into fitness now. I work out because that's what kept me going in prison, was working out. You got to be strong. That's why. So I just picked that up. So 2 weeks out of prison, I was working out at this park by the beach, and I came across one of my old friends, and he looked at me and he said, Kyle, when you came out of prison? I said, 2 weeks ago, bro. And he said, bro, you look good, bro. I said, thank you. He said, welcome home. And I said, thank you. And he said, I don't know if you know, but I speak to kids now. I said, about what? He told me what he do, and he invited me to join him. And I was, what am I going to tell these kids, bro? He said, share your story, how you golfed with Tiger Woods, how you went with prison, and share with these kids, bro. And at first, I was like kind of skeptical, but I said, okay, you know what? When is the next school? He said, next week. So I went with him, and my first school, 2,000 kids, and I went into the school and I shared my story. And before I left the school, I told the kids this. I told the kids, bro, if you ever feel alone, remember, you get me. Okay, my Instagram is Stay Humble Pray. If you guys ever feel that way, reach out because I here. Boom, see you guys later. And I left. Yeah. Dr. Rogers, that night and the next day, my phone would blow up. 200 messages from kids. Yeah. The first message I remember so clearly was from one girl. She said, Uncle, my mom is in prison because of crystal meth. Because of your presentation, I'm never going to do drugs. Thank you, Uncle. Yeah. I just cry. And I just. But
I'm sure you had to leave friends. I'm sure you had to sever friendships too. You couldn't go back to the same friends that you
right? 7 years later, I still no more friends. I, I just do what I do, and I help kids, and
Yeah.
I stick to myself, and I get panic friends who still do bad things, and I see crystal meth all the time. Yeah, because we live on an island,
Hmm.
and nothing in my body urges or craves crystal meth. That's how I know that my God is real and my God is strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and God is good. Right, for turning a 98-pound crystal meth addict, Hawaii's most wanted, into one of the more motivational speaker here in Hawaii.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you have a wife and a child, right?
Yes, and
Yeah.
my son's name is on my neck, or this side is Grayson,
Uh-huh.
because if it wasn't for God's grace, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
owe everything to God for saving me.
Yeah. Mhm. What projects do you have in place?
In Hawaii, in place right now.
What are you doing now? What projects are you working on?
Okay, so the 7 years I was motivational speaker, I spoke to 95% of schools here in Hawaii.
Hmm.
This agency called Top Youth Speakers, they reached out to me, and now I speak under Top Youth Speakers.
Hmm.
And
Good.
my first schools out of Hawaii is September 28th, and I speak in California at Live Oak Middle School, and
Yeah.
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah. I find that I would imagine that's therapeutic to go around
Yeah,
and tell your story, especially when dealing with trauma, being able to tell. It's almost like an exposure therapy, telling your
yeah,
story over
and
and over and over.
and it is, and I tell you something right now, Dr. Rogers, is emotionally draining. It's
Mhm.
emotionally draining. Like sometimes I gotta do 3 schools in one day, and when I go to a school, I give these kids my all. I give them my all, and then I
Yeah.
gotta jump in a car. I gotta go to another school. I gotta reset, compose, because I'm gonna do them again. And
Hmm.
I just keep on telling myself, look at the big picture. Look at these
Yeah.
kids. Look at these kids. And I help these kids, but in actuality, they help me too. They keep me accountable. I could take you to any island we can go to. Kids gonna gravitate, and they're gonna run up to me, and they're gonna say, "Uncle, you
Right.
came to my school because of what you told me. I will do good. Thank
Yeah.
you."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I couldn't be bad if I wanted to.
Yeah. So essentially, you've regained your respect in the
Oh,
community. Yeah, and that feels good. It sounds like.
yeah, I stayed on track, and I stayed
Yeah.
focused on the things
Man,
that
you got
matter.
so much going on. You ever thought about writing a book?
I'm on Clubhouse now,
Uh huh.
and I was in this room with Les Brown,
Uh huh.
and I shared my story with him. I blew his mind, bro, and he told me he's gonna help me with a book, because I don't have a book as of yet.
Yeah.
But I really want a book, because plenty people tell me you should write a book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So thinking
why, can
about
you help me? Can you help me?
oh, I don't even know how to start. Yeah, I've been asked if I was going to write a book, but I'm not even sure where to start. So it sounds like you've been engaging in things that keep you grounded,
Yep.
great engaging in activities that keep you grounded and keep you on task and on target. And you're doing a great job, especially whenever we give back to our youth. It's awesome, right?
Awesome.
I think that our youth need to hear stories such as yours so they can see, oh, I don't want to go down this road, right?
Right.
This is what it may look like. Absolutely. So I sent out a video with you on it. What was that? Do you have something to send out, or you have a website or anything that you can give in case someone wants to have you speak?
Oh yeah, most definitely. So if you go to my Instagram, it's Stay Humble Prayer, and in my bio there's a link. You press on that link, you gonna see like my shirts, and you can see my demo video of the schools, and for invite me to a school, you can press on button and press that button, and I'll be there.
Any final comments, Cal?
Uh, my final comment would be, my life was filled with failure, but I didn't let the failure consume me. I used the failure in my life for an opportunity to learn and grow. And anybody out there feels like the failure is getting the best out of them, just use that failure, bro, to be better.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, and it's difficult, especially when you go to through negative experiences, especially traumatic ones. You lose a sense of identity. Sounds like you lost a sense of identity at one point in your
Yep.
life, right? and being able to believe in yourself enough to bounce back. You know, you talked about earlier about how you thought about giving up, committing suicide, and etc. Oh my gosh. And then believing that suicide doesn't have to be the answer.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be the answer.
You know, I had a traumatizing time, and my faith that I have is through the roof. And if God can turn a 98-pound crystal meth addict into what I am, do anything. So when tribulation comes my way to this very day, I know that God gonna see me through, because He got me through the storm. And I don't sweat the small stuffs anymore. No sweat the small stuffs in life, bro. Things can be worse. Yeah.
Right.
Enjoy life and enjoy family and enjoy your freedom, bro.
Yeah. And it sounds like your faith is strong. And
strong.
Oh my God. Yeah. And you know, I have a strong faith base too. And I concur that when all else has failed, you know, I think that our faith can pull us through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. You have an amazing story, and you chose to use it for good. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy Smith.
Thank you, Tracy Smith.
Yes, you have an amazing story, and thank you so much for coming on Mental Health Talk. Again, guys, this is Dr. Leslie Rogers with Mental Health Talk. This is Kyle Quilausing, golfing champion.
Yeah.
Golfing champion, Kyle Quilausing. Thank you, guys, and until next time, we will talk to you soon.
All right.
Thank you so much, Cal.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah.
We drove around the entire perimeter of Hawaii. So that was nice.
You know that I walked around the perimeter of every island.
What do you mean walk? How is that possible? Okay, you walked. I'm gonna have to come back to that because my brain can't wrap around that because it's
Yeah, please do bring it up in our conversation.
Okay.